like I say, 3 of the letters basically are dealing with the same issue. The letter from Ms. Bunting is a different matter entirely. I know the board members have all had a chance to read the letters. Any comments on Ms. Ito's letter? Or maybe I'll just rephrase it. Any comments on any of the letters from board members? Member Beatty?
Thank you, Chair. I can appreciate the concerns of the citizens. As the DVIA representative for council, residents and businesses that own and live and operate in downtown Cobourg, every month keep bringing up community safety concerns on the streets, threat to walking downtown. For the record, I feel very safe walking downtown at any hours of night, but that's just my comfort level. So I guess my question, perhaps for you to the chief, is opportunities. Do we have any, like, what are community safety plans for maybe enhanced foot patrols downtown? I believe police used to sit or work with the DVIA. I guess really just what I'm looking for is some acknowledgement of is there an opportunity for these letters to be forwarded to the stabilization strategy of Transition House? Does Cobourg Police still sit on the community safety well-being plan? What's an opportunity for us to acknowledge this and try to
Thank you, Chair, to Member Beatty. So I'll talk, lots to unpack there. So yes, we still sit on the DVA, we still sit on the community safety well-being plan. The action items out of the community safety well-being plan are, at this point in its life, still really high level. They're not really the granular street work, if you will. So if I can, I would address the letters by just talking about what's happening in our community, and then to put some facts on the table. And my wife is tired of me saying this, but I'm going to say it one more time. There's a real difference between feeling unsafe and being unnerved. So everybody knows my wife works at Scotiabank downtown. She has since we came to Cobourg. She locks up the branch every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night, and walks to back behind Somerville Sports or behind Henley Arcade where she parks her vehicle. And I ask her, do you feel unsafe? And she says, no, I don't feel unsafe, much like you. It's unnerving to walk over somebody who's encountered a mental health crisis, addictions, or is having a arrest. So, but I always say that it's unnerving. When I look at the letters, so I had our team do a deep dive on the statistics for the last 3 years. And what I've seen is what I've commented previous. The crime severity index, those assaults, assault caused bodily harms, sexual assaults, and robberies are all decreasing. Those are the things that should really get people to feel unsafe when they're being assaulted, with assault with a weapon, to that like. On the other side, those non-criminal offense, those things such as break-ins, mischiefs, arsons, suspicious persons, disturb the peace, all with the exception of the latter are also in the decrease. However, when we get into those suspicious persons, disturb the peace, drug poisonings, unwanted persons, and people who call on somebody who's encountering mental health, they're substantially increased. So what we're dealing with are people who are acting out, who are acting contrary to what they believe is a normal way to act. Maybe because of the intersectionality of homelessness, addictions, poverty. So what we found is our calls went up 5% last year, our calls for service. And we realized that 16% of all of our calls for service were that latter bucket. So 16% of the calls for service for our entire police service, most of which are in that downtown core, and I have it defined here, are those calls that are not core police functions, are poverty-based, homelessness. So I understand Mary Ito, and I sympathize. I understand, but I can't remember the other letters, and I just sympathize. True, if you feel unsafe, I can't argue that you're unsafe. If you feel unsafe, you feel unsafe. There's nothing I can say or do to challenge that. What we're going to be doing in the future is, as obviously as time permits, we have foot patrols. We continue to have foot patrols. We use our tiered response. You'll see our auxiliaries out in areas of problematic activity. We have our special constables out on patrol. And I've been doing this for 33 years now, and Jeff, as well, we always say we never see anybody on foot patrol. My answer always is, that's funny, because I was on foot patrol, I didn't see you either. Just because you don't see us doesn't mean we're not there, but there is a need for some increased awareness, and I know the deputy is looking at an operational plan to move forward, which we will obviously communicate with our community. Again, at the end of the day, dealing with people in the community who are suffering a mental health crisis or an addiction is not easy. And there is no quick response. And there is very little we as officers can do other than to engage MHART, to try to move them to service, HART to move them to service. But this is something that's encountering every community across the province. Recently, this weekend, I heard a report in Goderich. So very similar sized community and the same. So we'll do our best to keep engaging. Our auxiliaries are doing crime prevention through environmental design audits throughout the downtown for all businesses. And we'll ramp that up with HARP and a few other issues. I hope I touched base on all of your questions.
Yes,
Thank you. I would, Chair, if I could, I would like to move to Ms. Bunton's comment, and I will file a report in full on this. I find that letter a little bit, a lot inflammatory, in that what we have here is an individual in our community who is wanted on warrants. What we have here is a member in the community who has been engaged with MHART and HARP, and due to the circumstances, was given 3 opportunities not to be arrested on that arrest warrant, who had provided 3 opportunities to turn themselves in and neglected to do so. And on the 4th opportunities, our officers fulfilled their obligation under the Police Services Act and executed an arrest warrant and subsequently released the individual. There was no ambush. This was not a planned attack, and I don't believe to her letter that it did anything to diminish our collaborative community approaches in addressing challenges of homelessness. I'll put that in a full report for you soon. Those will be my comments.
Thank you for that, Chief. Member Graham, sorry.
Through you, Chair and Chief, I completely support and agree with your perspective on your last discussion there. Totally support it. I would just like to address, I do feel that personal safety is obviously a very unique perspective, depending on the person. You know, some people can be small, or they've had an experience that's caused them to have a very concerned personality with when they see a person in distress, etc. Since I've been on the board this term 2, I feel like this has become a pretty common correspondence, at least from my perspective, in the feelings of being unsafe in downtown. A lot of businesses have actually, I've spoken to certain business owners that have shared the exact same position as Ido. I would put it to the board to perhaps look at a report to see the generation of foot patrols, how often they're happening, so that way we can report back to the public precisely when it does come up that we have conducted X amount of foot patrols in this area. And I think it could potentially alleviate some of these concerns when people see numbers attached to that, because it has been a reoccurring theme. I have heard, you know, we've been conducting foot patrols. I've had people say to me downtown, well, when and where, to your point. So if we could provide potentially a report saying the Cobourg Police Service hypothetically did 30 foot patrols in the month of March, it could alleviate some of these concerns to show that this action is being taken.
Thank you, Chair. To Member Graham. So, foot patrols occur every day. I'm advised, and the deputy and I are advised daily about at the end of shift report about the shift patrol, foot patrols and where they're conducted. We have to recognize also that Cobourg is bigger than downtown.
Absolutely.
So it is 100% requirement for us to be visible at the community center during the course of the Cougars playoff game. It is incredibly important for us to be present at the beach in a more apropos season, unless it's Thursday. So we can provide a report. It will say that there were at least 30, there were 31, except for the month of February, there was at least 28 foot patrols conducted. The report is there. It's easy for us to draw that out. There is incumbency upon community safety to be truly community-minded. Other DBIs have taken the initiatives of of when stores close. Now the time change just kind of changed this a little bit, but in the dark hours, because again, my wife has worked in the downtown bank forever, and other DVIAs have partnership walking to parking lots where there's like a walking group that kind of moves from one store to the next and collects en masse. We do fraud prevention, you'll hear in my chief's report. We do crime prevention through environmental design. We do personal defense training with Cornerstone. There's a lot we can do. You are not going to resolve the issues of unsheltered people, addictions, and mental health if you gave me unlimited budget to hire 50 cops, and if I could find them, and put them, and they lived downtown, we would not stop the calls for service. And in fact, the numbers that I presented are probably 10% of what people actually see, because people don't call all the time.
Member Graham?
Just a follow-up. I appreciate your perspective, Chief. I'm not saying foot patrols will alleviate this problem. I think we've been hearing it pretty clear from the downtown community that they would like to see foot patrols. So my rationale was, if we had a report that we could generate and clearly prove the stat to the community downtown that we have conducted X amount of patrols, we could alleviate this argument, right? Because it is a very common theme that I've been seeing. It would just be nice to put a statistical number behind that to show the community exactly what we've been doing to alleviate their concerns and let them know clearly that we're hearing them.
Thank you, through the chair. We'll add it to the monthly operation report.
Yeah, I'd just like to make one comment on this. The efficiency of foot patrols are really questionable. I mean, unless they're breaking the law, all they can be asked, these people can be asked to do is to move along. And what that means is they're going to move into another area, and then the residents of that area are going to be unsatisfactory and complaining about the lack of foot patrols. So personally, I don't see the efficiency of foot patrols on a huge basis. Manpower is always an issue with all police services and with ours also. So that's just my personal comment on the matter. Certainly, we can generate a report, but my real point is send out the foot patrols. Ask them to move along. They'll move along, or they'll circle the block and come back as soon as the foot patrol leaves. So, what is the efficiency quotient of that service? That's all I have. Member Graham.
To follow up to your point, I can understand your perspective on that, Chair Kerr. My point is, when I have been reading these correspondence, it's with a lot of the businesses in particular, they've been saying that their customers feel threatened and concerned. So my point being with that in particular is, I have a huge empathy for small businesses, and if their call has been for foot patrols, and hypothetically, to your point, if the problem does move to another street, we'll take a look at it at that point, but I would like to just see some kind of action taken on this, so that's my point on it.
Member Bureau.
Yeah, I know we've been dealing with this for a while, and I agree, statistics and education is the key to move forward on this. But like the chief always said, you can't police fear. I do see the patrols every day downtown. I see them walk. One of the problems with that is they do walk and they do help out the community. They check out in on stores. They do a wonderful job. Is that they may be down there, but then there could be incidences at the other end of King Street. So unless, like the chief said, unless you're gonna have police on every corner, there's always gonna be those issues. The next issue is that if somebody feels uncomfortable because they see somebody in mental health distress, if somebody who hasn't seen it on a regular basis, that's gonna be feared. And then their whole aspect of the downtown is gone from that. To me, the best way to move forward is through education and understanding of mental health and addiction, like we did before with the DDI putting on different seminars and people working alone and creating those partnerships in downtown where, if somebody's in trouble or, they have an unruly customer in the store, that their neighbor comes over if they're working alone. All those different tips, and I think that being led by the DBIA and the police, I think that would make a lot of this placing fear go away, and with more understanding and education. Because, I mean, like I said, we could put cops on every corner, it's not gonna change this situation, because that's the gaps in our community, is the mental health and the addiction problem. So until that gets controlled, and to me, that's not the Cobourg Police Services job, is to be that mental health and addiction specialist. So to me, moving forward would be more education, bringing the downtown merchants together, and having a true talk on how we could possibly move forward and make everybody feel safe in the downtown, including the citizens.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you for that. Member Beatty.
Thank you, Chair. Building off of the keyword partnership, you know, we have some downtown members such as Salvation Army, Greenwood Coalition is opening an archive. It's a art programming for folks who are living with mental health. They're going to do the Red Path addictions program out of that space. United Way is there, so I'm wondering if, you know, I as a DBI member definitely need to be activating those partnerships. But through you to the chief, I'm sort of putting you on the spot. I remember one of the first things I reached out to in my last term was about the downtown and some movements that were happening around there. And you gave me an example of what was happening, I believe in Oshawa. It was a partnership between a program between their police services, nonprofits, and the DBIA. Do you remember? No, I'm putting you on the spot. I have to do some digs research.
Yep, I'll do that as well. I did make a note, sorry, through the chair, I did make a note that we will go back to our team, and we have one great thing about it is I'm just one, but I'm surrounded by very bright, intelligent people, including our auxiliary superintendent and our staff sergeants. And we'll try to come up with an innovative foot patrol solution, because in my cynical old age, the foot patrol's success is measured by the color of the coat. In other words, if you have a high visibility coat, walking down the street, check, we were successful in foot patrols, to your point. The loitering bylaw doesn't even allow us to move people along. So, anyways, it's all doom and gloom. I do recognize the point. I see there's a challenge here. I tend to live in the world of what I know what's in front of us, but we will look to come up to see if we can come up with the best new innovative solution for a innovative foot patrol program with measurable outcomes. Thank you, Chief.
Any conversation, Vice Chair Pepper?
To Member Greenfield, we have had reports on these foot patrols for the last, 5 years. You see them when you go downtown. I see them all the time. That's not going to help the issue that we're facing today. It's a social service issue, and the police aren't responsible for social services in this county. Until someone actually does something regarding the social service issue, we're gonna have this problem until it won't go away. So we can ask the chief to waste more time and get another report on foot patrols that we've already had before, but that's not gonna help the issue. And as Chair Kerr says, foot patrols are just moving from one place to another. It's a social service issue, and that's what that has to be a targeted issue in this county.
Okay, thank you. Just for a follow-up, so moving forward, the chief is going to respond to Ms. Bunting, and I will follow up with the other three ladies in regard to their letters. So can I would entertain a motion to accept all 4 of these letters for information purposes. Member Bureau, seconded by Member Beatty, all in favor? Thank you.